Hi everybody, it's Katie back with another episode of my vlog, and today I wanted to answer a viewer question. Actually, several viewers have asked me the same question, so I guess it's a question people want answered, which is how do I go about managing all of the stuff that needs to be done around here, from housework and cleaning to other types of chores, and running the business and taking care of the kids and dealing with all the stuff Sean needs and all that stuff that I have to do. How do I manage it? And I feel like I've kind of answered this question in the past, but enough people asked me, I wanted to approach it again because I think I've got some pretty good philosophies about how to keep a house running and doing all the things that you want to be able to do. So first of all, as I've talked about in the past, I am a recovering perfectionist, and I've had to let that come into the household chores situation in the form of lowering my standards a little bit. If I lived totally by myself and everything was my way, things would be tidier around here, things would be cleaner around here. But you know, there's a point where you got to say it's good enough. And there's some things that you can let go. If it's gross, if it's unhealthy, if it's going to cause problems, you can't let that go, obviously. But there's other places where you don't have to be, to the top level of, I don't like to use the word neat freak, but you guys know what I mean. So I've definitely lowered my standards a little bit here in the stroke dimension, and had to let some things go. You know, we were in a situation before where Sean and I shared all of the work together, and he actually took on the lion's share of stuff, especially physically demanding activities, anything with heavy lifting or carrying stuff or moving stuff around. He would always be the first person to volunteer. And then obviously he had a stroke, which makes him unable to help with any of that stuff. And so a lot of that stuff just kind of sat by for a while, and I got the kids to do it. And then we kind of got ourselves into a new rhythm of how to get all of our chores and things that we need to get done around here without Sean's help. And with the added chore, I don't like to use it that way, but you guys know what I mean, of having to take care of Sean also, on top of having to do all the work that he was doing before. And so, we had to shuffle a lot of stuff around, and the kids had to take on additional things, and I had to take on a lot of additional things, and I had to let a lot of things that I like to do go because I just didn't have time for that. But then over the course of the last year and 9 months it's been, Sean has, been improving gradually, very slowly, but there's forward improvement all the time. And so what that means is he needs less and less help from me, just with his activities of daily living and stuff. And he's also able to do more and more as time goes by. So he's still not able to fully participate in, chores and stuff like that in the house. But what he is able to more fully participate in is management of the kids. And as you guys know, if you've ever managed a project, that's a full-time job all by itself. The manager is usually not actually involved with doing the project because doing the management takes so much time and mental energy. So Sean's been able to take a lot of that on over the course of really the last year, but in total the last year and a half plus, in terms of managing the kids and reminding them what they're supposed to be doing in the day, so that our house can keep moving forwards, right? So we've always had the kids super involved with chores. I've always been a believer that you need to show your kids how to do the things that make the house and your life go, from the earliest age when they're super little and they can't really help, but they want to pretend to help or feel like they're helping. I always let them help. I always slowed down, showed them how to do what I was doing, involved them with anything I was doing, whether it was simple tidying up or, going and doing an errand or a more complex home improvement type of job, or just the basics, like here's how to do the dishes, here's how to do the laundry, stuff like that, right? And so we've always had the expectation that from a very young age, our kids would be able to participate in that stuff. For some reason, a lot of American parents don't do that. They just do everything for their kids until the kid is way too old for that to be appropriate. And then they send their kids off to college and they don't know how to take care of themselves. or anything, which is really mysterious to me because I feel like the whole point of being a parent is to raise a well-rounded young adult who's ready to, be a fledgling and leave the nest and go do on their own. And that's not to say not supported by their parents when they move out, but, calling your mom up to find out whether you're supposed to put mayonnaise on both slices of bread for your sandwich or just one is crazy, but that's a real life example that someone I know did. So anyhow, don't raise your kids to be helpless. Involve them in the chores, in the daily workings of the house. It is more work for you as a parent because you do have to slow down and show them how to do it. And you got to keep coming back and correcting them when they get it wrong because that's what kids do. So you have to be super patient and it takes extra time on the front end, but then the payoff is incredible. So now here I am with 3 kids, age 10, 12, and 14, and they are able to handle almost all of the tasks of making our house run. Do they want to? No. What kid wants to do a bunch of chores? But they do. And what we've done is worked out what we call the Chore Split, which ensures that everyone feels like the amount of work has been distributed evenly and it's been distributed appropriately. Sean and I actually first came up with the concept of the Chore Split when we first moved into our own apartment. When we first moved in together, we were living in like a group house, a punk house type situation. And as anyone who has ever done intentional co-housing with young adults knows, the chores don't get done. And it doesn't matter if there's a chore chart or a chore wheel or whatever, somebody's not going to hold up their end of the deal and other housemates are going to be pissed off. That's just the way it works. So when we first moved into our own apartment out of that house with other people, we said, okay, we're going to set up a system for making sure that we handle all of our chores, but we want it to be fair. We want both of us to feel like neither one of us is shouldering too much of the burden or whatever. And what we did was a really simple split that was based on how many hours we were both working outside of our house at our day jobs at the time. I was working full-time and Sean was working just under full-time hours. And so what we decided, we kind of figured it out, and it was like a 60-40 in terms of how much of our time each of us was spending at our jobs. And so we decided, well, if I'm taking 60% and Sean's 40% of the sort of work outside the house, we should just reverse those percentages inside the house. And he should do 60% of the chores in the house, and I should do 40% because that feels fair. And you don't have to be exact about that, but it's really good to acknowledge, if you have just 2 people in a partnership and one of them is working more hours than the other one, go ahead and acknowledge that. Or maybe one of you works a harder job than the other one. And the one with the easier job works the longer hours, but like you both know at the end of the day, one of the partners is like super beat when they come home from work and the other one isn't. Well, what's fair there is to have the person who's not been totally beat down by their day job do a little bit more of the chores, right? But the other important thing about the chore split that we figured out really early on is not all jobs are equal. Some jobs take a specific skill set and some jobs nobody wants to do. And so we tried to split up the jobs with that in mind. For instance, I'm really good at being organized, operating spreadsheets, staying on top of making sure the bills are paid on time, that type of stuff. Sean isn't as good as that. So I took that on because that just makes sense. That's easy for me. He loves cooking. I don't really like cooking that much. So he was like, I'm going to cook. So he became the cook who cooked all of our meals until he had a stroke. And then now, thankfully, Henry loves to cook. So he is our cook. And I mean, I can cook some things, but I've already told you guys before, my repertoire isn't that great. And it's a skill I haven't worked on because I've worked on my other skills. So, play to your skills. If you've got one person in the partnership or in the family is, way better at number stuff and staying on top of those bills, give them that job. If one person in the family is way better at taking care of plants, then that should be their job, right? One person in the family is way more tuned into the pets. taking care of the pets is their job, right? In our family, that's Jimmy. He's the way most oriented to animals of all of us. So the dog is his responsibility, even though she's the family's dog. Ultimately, he's the one that's in charge of feeding her, walking her, making sure she gets her medicine every day. And then there's also, like I said, the jobs no one wants to do. I hate cleaning toilets. I mean, I don't know anyone who likes cleaning toilets, and I'll do it if I have to. But man, if I can set up the chore split so someone else has that job, I'm happy. And Sean was like, well, I don't care. I'll clean your toilet, whatever. So he took that job on. I can't remember what I took on in exchange, but it was something he didn't want to do. Since he's been laid up in the stroke dimension, our oldest child, a teenager, has taken on cleaning up the bathroom, and they don't mind. They're not fazed by it. So it's like, okay, great. You take on this job because I don't want to have to deal with it. I know your brothers don't want to have to deal with it. And if you don't seem to mind, you can get all these points for cleaning the bathroom, right? So that's kind of the general idea of how we split up the chores around here. Now, the next piece is, when do you do your chores? And of course, with the kids, this is the part where they need a lot of management. They don't have the ability to schedule their time correctly. And, as they get older, I try to give them more and more time freedom so that they can get their job done. But it's kind of like, you start out with, here's a job I need you to do. I need you to run the laundry, and I want you to do it right now. And then when it's time to flip the laundry from the washer to the dryer, go chase that kid around. Right now, Jimmy is the one who does the laundry, and make sure that he flips the laundry into the dryer. And then after the dryer is done with its cycle, I got to chase him down and go, hey, go get the laundry out of the dryer. It's time to fold it, because he's young enough that he can't track the multiple steps and coming back to it as well as the older ones can, right? Whereas with teenager, I'll say, I want you to do XYZ job before 5 o'clock today, and just make sure it's done today. And that works. And so, again, different ages of kids are going to need different management. Different temperaments are going to need different management, right? Some kids are on it and they do it right away. Other kids need to be prodded and poked and reminded a little bit more. One of the things that really helps and that we stick to in our family is a schedule and a routine. We do small chores throughout the week, and we do our big cleanups on Sunday. And that way the kids already know, I'm going to be expected to, vacuum on Sunday. I'm going to be expected to clean the bathroom on Sunday. I'm going to be expected to scrub, the fingerprints off of the walls on Sunday, right? That's not every week. That's only sometimes, because again, lowered standards. We're not going crazy about it. I used to have a plate that said, our house is clean enough to be healthy and dirty enough to be happy. And I kind of feel like that's the the right mix, for us at least. Again, if you live by yourself, if it's just you and your spouse or partner, it's a totally different vibe than if you have a house full of kids that are just, kind of chaos magnets that go around just creating messes and not noticing things that need to be cleaned up. And I'll be real, there's a lot of time when I'm having to chase the kids around about their chores and I'm not happy about it. And I'm losing my patience about it, because it's like, guys, I say this to you every week. Why am I having to say it all over again? But the key to parenting that I've discovered is patience and repetition. And that's really it. Consistency, right? But that goes right in there with patience and repetition. And so, be consistent, lay out your expectations, say you're not going to get to do the fun thing you want to do until you've completed these not fun things that I want you to do. It's a fine trade-off. It prepares them for work later in life. And it works. It's, again, it's challenging, but it works, and we manage to get it all done. We also have in the mix that we run a business out of our house, and the kids are my helpers right now because we don't have employees because of COVID. And so that's its own challenge. But again, I try to make sure that we pace ourselves. My management style is to say, okay, here's the things we have to get done today, and then here's the things I'd like to get done today. And if we can get these ones, we're gold. But, a little bit more would be great, but it doesn't all have to get done every day, right? Some of those things cannot get done. And then the last piece of the puzzle, for us at least, has been to hire professionals to do jobs we don't want to deal with. I used to do all of our books and do our taxes every year. And as our business structure got more and more complicated, that got harder and harder to do. And I was bugging my CPA friends for free advice. And then I was like, whoa, I just need to hire an accountant because I don't want to deal with this part of it. And I want to have someone that I can just go ask, hey, could you handle this for me? And so shout out to Collaborative Business Solutions. That's our accountants here in Portland. We love them. They're great. And they're, it's a close relationship. We've had them as our accountants for years. When Sean had a stroke, they sent a care package, stuff like that. What's another one? Oh, like Sean figured out to hire someone to mow our lawn after he had the stroke. He used to mow the lawn before. And then it was like, oh my God, how are the kids going to stay on top of this lawn in addition to everything else? And he was like, I'm going to hire somebody. And I said, hey, that's a great idea. So shout out to J&C Lawn Care in Portland also. We love them. They come out mow our lawn for us. We don't have to deal with it. Obviously, there's an economic factor there, but at a certain point, you ask yourself, what is your time worth? And for me, it's way worth it to pay them their monthly fee, to have them come out every week and mow the lawn for us. So that's kind of the gist of how we run everything around here. I say we because Sean really is helping with the management now, but I am top dog, big boss. Everything runs through me. That's okay. That's the way I like it. But I do have to do a lot of management of other people. And again, like I said at the beginning of the video, management is its own job. So if you're trying to do all the jobs and manage other people, you have to cut something. You can't do all of that. And it's really, really good, especially if you have kids, to take some time out of your schedule to give them the time to manage them through their chores, because they will eventually get it and be able to be this sort of autonomous unit that you don't have to be following around going, no, do it right, do it this way. And then that will be helpful and it will be awesome. So I hope that answered everyone's questions. If you have any other questions, please let me know down in the comments. I always love responding to viewer questions. I am going to be back in a couple days with another tutorial. I'm not sure if it's going to be sewing to or knitting to, because I realized I left you guys hanging on that one after I did the knitting tutorial, 3 months ago? So I'll figure it out and I'll be back in a couple days with another tutorial here on my YouTube channel. Thanks so much for watching. Stay safe, take care, and I'll see you next time.